I had been in a secret relationship with my sister's childhood sweetheart for 3 years. On the Mid-Autumn Festival, I was ready to make it public. But outside the restroom, I saw Sam pressing my sister against the corner of the wall. "Lily, beg me. Say you don't want me to be with your sister." His index finger lifted the hem of her skirt lightly, his tone coaxing. "Beg me, and I won't want your sister, the substitute. I'll only want you, okay?" 3 years of love made me unable to believe what I was seeing. I could only stand there, frozen. It wasn't until a tear fell from the corner of my sister's eye and Sam gently kissed it away that I finally understood. So, from beginning to end, the one Sam loved was never me. My heart felt like it had been torn apart. Like a walking corpse, I returned to the room. After suppressing my emotions and downing a full glass of red wine, I spoke in a low voice. "Mom, Dad, about the marriage alliance. I'll marry in my sister's place. Sam, I don't want you anymore." Chapter 1. "Emma, did something happen?" My parents' concerned voices came from across the round table. My eyes suddenly reddened. The image of Sam and my sister leaning against each other appeared before me again. I forced a smile to reassure them. "No, Mom, Dad. I just want to get married." "Emma." A warning laced in his tone, Sam pushed the door open and walked in. Behind him, my sister's eyes were filled with tears. She glanced around helplessly before timidly sitting in the seat that had been mine. The woody scent that belonged only to Sam lingered on her. Looking at her slightly swollen lips, my heart felt like it was stabbed by a needle. "Uncle, Auntie, did you forget Emma has a stomach condition? She can't drink." Sam softened his tone and took the wine glass from my hand. As if the warning voice earlier had only been concern. "Sam is so thoughtful." My mother raised her eyebrows at me. "Your father and I are getting old. With you by Emma's side in the future, we'll feel relieved." Even my mother thought my good news was near. I bit my lip tightly. No one knew about my relationship with Sam except my sister. But my parents knew me too well. They knew my personality. Other than Sam, I would never trail behind someone for so long. I was the one who fell for him first. While my emotions churned, the hand hidden under the table was tapped lightly in warning. Sam leaned close to my ear. "Emma, don't use marriage to test me again. I told you, our relationship isn't ready to be public." Chapter 2. My throat tightened. The wine I had just swallowed seemed to churn in my stomach. I suppressed the rising burn. I had already lost count of how many times Sam had rejected me. The first time. My sister was sick and Sam stayed by her side. I wanted to take the opportunity to make our relationship public to give her a surprise. But the moment I spoke, my sister's face turned pale. And I was driven out by Sam. "Emma, Lily is still sick. What are you trying to do by announcing us now? Are you deliberately trying to upset her?" I stood blankly outside the hospital room, watching through the glass as Sam gently comforted her. My heart ached. What had I done wrong? I rushed in and argued fiercely with him. The second time. On my sister's birthday, he casually gave her the Lego set I had spent 2 days and 2 nights assembling. It was my favorite design. Inside it wasn't just my effort. It also held the only photo we had taken together in 3 years. "Emma, Lily likes it. Just give it to her. It's not something valuable." In front of everyone, I tried to grab it back but Sam stopped me. He pulled me into a side room, his brows deeply furrowed. "Emma, you're too willful. Have you ever thought that maybe Lily's difficulties in this family are because of you? You've received all your parents' favoritism. Don't you feel even a little guilty toward your own sister?" He gripped my arm tightly. "I'll give you one chance. If you want to continue this relationship, come back with me and apologize to Lily." What did he, an outsider, know? I wiped the corner of my eyes and shoved him hard. We had another explosive argument. After that, we were cold to each other for a long time. Then came the crisis in his company. I went to help him. At business dinners, I drank until I suffered stomach bleeding and was hospitalized. He lowered himself to apologize to me. He promised that today, he would make our relationship public. But now, he had rejected me again. I let out a self-mocking laugh. I withdrew my hand and said coldly, I understand. I used to think Sam and my sister were childhood friends, that his concern was just friendship. Now I understand. From beginning to end. Sam never loved me. He was with me only because he couldn't have Lily and treated me as her substitute. If that's the case, I'll let him have what he wants. Sam, I don't want you anymore. Chapter 3. My calm reaction immediately made Sam notice. He looked at me in surprise. The redness at the corner of my eyes had not yet faded, and he assumed I was forcing myself to stay composed. How rare. The young lady isn't picking a fight with me. As compensation, for the first time, he picked food for me in front of everyone. I don't like vegetarian dishes. Wherever I am, there are always more fish and shrimp on the table. After serving me, Sam instinctively turned around and served my sister as well. My sister glanced at me, her cheeks flushed. My expression remained calm. Soon, her bowl was piled like a small mountain. Every dish on top was her favorite. I lowered my eyes. And in my bowl, there wasn't even a trace of fish or shrimp. After 3 years together, Sam didn't even remember what I liked to eat. I should have seen it long ago. A mother's heart knows her child. Sensing my low mood, my mother frowned. Lily. Is that seat beside Sam for you to sit in? Still so lacking in manners. What have you learned from the etiquette the housekeeper taught you all these years? With behavior this petty, aren't you afraid the Alex family will look down on you when you marry into their family? Being scolded mercilessly in front of everyone, my sister's face flushed bright red. I'm sorry, Mom. Dad. I didn't know. I'll leave right away. She hurried to stand up. After glancing at me helplessly and seeing that I didn't react, she timidly rose. As she passed Sam's side, perhaps too nervous, her foot slipped, and she fell straight into Sam's arms. Chapter 4. Now even my father's face darkened. My family and the Alex family had been joined by marriage alliances for generations. My sister, the eldest daughter, had been raised since childhood as the future daughter-in-law of the Alex family. Every word and action of hers did not only concern herself, it represented our entire family. The Alex family had strict rules and valued reputation above all. They would never allow their future daughter-in-law to have any intimate contact with another man. So even if Sam liked my sister, he didn't dare show it openly. He couldn't bear the combined anger of both families. What kind of behavior is this? Father slammed his chopsticks down. Sister, my sister shrank back, her pleading eyes turning toward me. She knew that as long as I spoke up and helped explain, our parents, who loved me the most, would soften their attitude and let the matter pass. In the past, I would have done exactly that. But when I saw the instinctive flash of concern in Sam's eyes for her, suddenly, I didn't want to anymore. I watched the scene calmly. My detached attitude made Sam look at me deeply. He clicked his tongue softly. Just as father was about to lose his temper at my sister, Sam's arm casually brushed the edge of the table. The scalding teapot fell. Sam immediately lifted my sister into his arms and carried her away from the chair. Chapter 5. The tea spilled. The scalding heat made me curl up involuntarily. Emma. My mother rushed toward me immediately, but Sam stopped her. He glanced at his phone. Uncle, Auntie, Emma's injury is urgent. I know there's a hospital nearby. Please go call a doctor first. I'll take Emma to the restroom and treat the burn with cold water. What he said sounded reasonable. My parents didn't want my injury to worsen, so they hurried downstairs. The room was left with only the three of us. Sam loosened his tie. Emma, watching your own sister embarrass herself in front of you, did you find it amusing? He dropped the gentle facade he had worn in front of my parents. His face darkened. Ignoring my struggle, he picked me up. Lily is your sister, yet when your parents made things difficult for her, you didn't help. Instead, you sat there eating and watching. I never thought you could be this selfish. Don't you like staying out of things? He carried me toward the sink. Then let you experience what it feels like to be on the brink of danger with no one helping you. He threw me hard into the icy sink. Sam stood at the edge. Watching as I, afraid of water and unable to swim, choked and struggled in the waist-deep pool. Emma, remember this lesson. Lily is your sister. Being born into this biased family has already made her pitiful enough. As her only sister, I don't want you helping your parents make things harder for her. Do you understand? Be good, Mississippi, promise me this is the last time. My face bruised, my consciousness fading, the desire to live took over. I nodded frantically. With my feet touching the ground, I crawled to the edge, coughing violently. I never imagined that the boy who once saved me from drowning would one day push me into the water for someone else. Tears finally fell in large drops. Looking at the face I had loved for 3 years, I suddenly realized I could be ruthless toward him too. I no longer loved him. Chapter 6. Staggering to my feet, I forcefully shook off Sam's hand as he tried to help me. Then I slapped him hard across the face. Sam, let's break up. Chapter 7. When I returned home, I burned with fever the entire night. At dawn, I once again told my parents of my determination to marry Alex in my sister's place. Unable to persuade me otherwise, they reluctantly agreed. The next day, they personally went to the Alex family to arrange the marriage. My phone lit up. A message from Sam. Miss, I heard you have a fever. I was impulsive last time and forgot you nearly drowned before. I brought medicine. Lily and I are downstairs. Come down and let's talk. Expressionless, I blocked his number. Lily, I sneered at the name. In 3 years together, Sam had never called me that. Emma. Mississippi. Even at our closest, his way of addressing me had always been distant. Emma, don't you think using pet names is cheesy? I'm really not used to it. But with Lily, all those boundaries seemed to disappear. Miss Emma, do you have time to come out and talk? Another message popped up. The Alex family has begun preparing for our wedding as planned. Before the marriage, I think we should meet. It seemed the families had already finalized everything. My emotions were mixed. The sender was Alex, the only son of his generation. He had grown up overseas following his father in business. Over the years, even Lily and I rarely saw him in the country. After confirming the location he sent, I changed my clothes and went downstairs. Little sister. Lily called timidly from downstairs. The gemstone on her neck was large and dazzling. I glanced at the time on my phone and spoke coldly. Do you need something? Ever since I heard outside the restroom that Lily had always known Sam treated me as her substitute, all I felt toward her was disgust. Little sister, I came to apologize. Lily clutched her skirt weakly. The last incident was all my fault. I never expected Sam would be so cruel to you because of me. I've already scolded him. Please don't blame me because of this. Got it. Please move. I'm in a hurry. I cut her off impatiently again. I remembered Sam once telling me that Lily was treated coldly by our parents because my arrival had taken all their love. But what would an outsider like him know? Chapter 8. Without me, Lily wouldn't even have the right to appear in this family. Emma, is that how you speak to your sister? Sam stood up from the sofa. He gently pulled Lily behind him, his voice icy. I came here to apologize this time, but it seems you still haven't learned your lesson. Emma. Sam, just as Sam was about to approach me, Lily stopped him. She tugged gently at his sleeve. You promised me you'd give in to my sister this time. With the woman he loved right in front of him, Sam's heart softened instantly. His expression eased, his tone helpless. Emma is just too willful. Fine, Lily, I'll listen to you. Even though I had long known that Sam treated Lily and me differently, seeing it with my own eyes still sent waves of pain through my heart. I returned to the villa with Lucas and the childcare specialist Angelica. The moment my mother-in-law saw Lucas, she hurried over. Oh, Grandma missed her precious grandson so much. Come, let Grandma give you a kiss. Before she could even touch Lucas, Angelica stopped her. Sorry, there are many germs in an adult's mouth. Lucas has weak immunity, so it is not appropriate for him to come into contact with your saliva. My mother-in-law was stunned by Angelica's words. Lucas, standing to the side like a little grown-up, said, Grandma, teacher is right. Doing that is unhygienic. Under my mother-in-law's dumbfounded stare, Lucas obediently went to wash his hands and sat down. Just as my mother-in-law was about to blow up, Eric and Elena came out of the upstairs bedroom. It looked like they had already moved into my bedroom. With the air of a hostess, Elena greeted me, "Gloria, you're here." I told Angelica to take Lucas off to play. They had not called me back today just to show off that she had taken over the house. "Gloria, this is the divorce agreement. If it looks fine to you, then sign it." Eric kept his head lowered beside her. Even though things had already reached the point of divorce, he still let a woman step forward for him. I gave him a long look, then opened the divorce agreement. 3 million in assets under his name. 1 house and 1 car. Willing to give all cash to Ms. Gloria. The divorce agreement was full of loopholes. He was not stupid. Since he dared write it like this, it meant he could make it look on paper as though those were the only assets under his name. I closed the agreement. "Fine. I'll have my lawyer contact you to conduct a proper asset settlement. Gloria, the child can go to you, but you must guarantee that you will not sell your shares to Ryan." I looked at Elena's slightly protruding belly and smiled mockingly. "Eric, you're the one who cheated. What right do you have to fight me for custody of the child? Add one more clause, Lucas cuts off all ties with your family, and then I can give you a guarantee letter promising never to transfer my shares to anyone." My mother-in-law shot to her feet at once and stared at Eric. "Lucas is our family's bloodline." Eric frowned and remained silent for a long time. "Fine." My mother-in-law stood frozen in place, staring at her son in disbelief. After years of being steeped in the business world, there was nothing more important to him than profit. I smiled in satisfaction. Not far away, Lucas had witnessed everything. Chapter 9. The property settlement moved extremely quickly, and the actual figures matched the amounts stated in the agreement. Elena resigned. I heard she was staying home to rest during her pregnancy, just waiting for us to get the divorce certificate so she could marry Eric. Eric and I would occasionally run into each other at the company, but neither of us spoke. Once the divorce cooling-off period ended, we smoothly got our divorce certificate. After getting it, I did not say a single word to him. We had once loved each other too. We had endured the hardest days together. When I found lipstick on his shirt, when I saw Elena's messages, I gave him chances, and I swallowed my pain and pretended not to see. But what about him? He said he only now understood that what he had with me was merely familial affection. What he had with Elena was love. After the divorce, Ryan ordered French food to celebrate for me and also sent me a huge bouquet of flowers to congratulate me on my new life. Roses. Fragrant, but with thorns. After the celebration, I quickly changed Lucas's surname. Ryan had already started making his move on his end. Early the next morning, when I arrived at the company, I happened to see the police taking Eric away. I was not surprised. I looked at him with a smile. The moment he saw me, Eric understood everything. I had signed the divorce agreement so cleanly. I had not used his affair to demand money. He had only given me 3 million and sent me off. And all of it had been waiting for him right here. Elena was pregnant. A child waits for no one. Eric did not want the child to carry the stigma of being illegitimate, so he absolutely had to divorce me. I knew very well that as long as he wanted to, there was no way I would get the share of property that belonged to me during the divorce. Eric would definitely transfer the assets and leave no trace behind. So I returned to the company and joined forces with Ryan. On one hand, I made things difficult for Elena, forcing Eric to transfer assets and speeding up the divorce. On the other hand, I provoked Elena. To soothe Elena's emotions, Eric would certainly spend money on her. But while transferring assets, Eric could only embezzle company funds first. And once it was checked, they found he had already used 20 million. He thought that as long as he quietly put the company money back after the divorce, everything would be fine. He never expected that all of this had been a trap we laid for him. His core projects were run through a separately established team that outsiders could not access. I had spent so long working in Department 3 not just so they could treat me like some monkey on display. After Eric was taken away, my lawyer immediately sued him for illegally transferring marital assets. If he wanted to put that money back, he would inevitably have to admit to illegally transferring marital property. Either way, he could not escape the charge of embezzling company funds. The amount was huge, enough to send him to prison for a good long while. Not a single cent of the money that belonged to me was going to be missing. After Eric was arrested, his mother came to find me several times. I had bodyguards around me, so she did not even get a chance to come near. The top-floor office was finally finished. These days, I was like a sponge, frantically making up for the years I had lost. Now that I had some room to breathe, I worked even harder, almost forgetting food and sleep. Aside from spending time with Lucas, all my other time was spent at the company. Whenever Ryan had time, he would bring me food. As time went on, rumors unexpectedly started spreading around the company. Some people said he had stayed unmarried all these years because he had been waiting for me. Others said he had secretly loved me back when we were young, weaving the three of us into a complicated love triangle. Rumors die with the wise, so at first I did not care. But the rumors only grew more and more intense, and Ryan also began to seem more and more off. Every single day, without fail, he sent a bouquet of roses to my office. He took detours to drive me to and from work. Even when I drove myself, he still followed behind me. I told him bluntly, "Stop sending me flowers." But he asked whether I simply did not like roses and said he could send something else. The rumors intensified more and more. It just so happened that the company's annual gala was coming up, my first major occasion since returning. As the company's largest shareholder, I had also prepared a speech. After the speech ended, the lights suddenly went dark. A bad feeling rose in my heart. Chapter 10. Soft music began to play through the speakers as Ryan walked onto the stage holding a bouquet of flowers. He was going to confess to me in front of the entire company. He stepped onto the stage and looked at me with deep feeling. "Gloria, the truth is, I've liked you for a long time. Back when we started the company together in that tiny office barely over 100 square feet, it was you who encouraged me. I've been waiting for you all this time." In his eyes was a kind of devotion so cloying it made me sick. I looked at him, my gaze utterly without warmth. Eric was scum, and Ryan was no better. These years, although he never married, there had been a constant stream of women around him. The rumors had spread so long that even he himself had started to believe them. For the sake of getting my shares, he could even say something revolting. A man already in his 30s, and he still wanted to play some pure innocent love story. At last, after listening to him finish, I snatched the microphone. I curved my eyes into a smile. "You deserve someone better, not someone like me who's the very best." Then I turned to the employees below the stage and said, "Ryan was just joking with everyone. Let's continue the annual gala." I put down the microphone and stepped off the stage without caring about Ryan's expression. Did he really think I had lived all these years for nothing? Ryan and Eric had long since put profit above all else. Their mouths were full of lies. When men get money, they go bad. So why should anyone assume that when women get money, they will still stay in place as those innocent kind little white flowers? The next day, the video of his confession at the annual gala was posted online. Netizens cast him as the deeply devoted second male lead in some novel, while I was the ungrateful heroine. They mocked me as a divorced woman with a child, saying I still dared to reject a diamond bachelor like Ryan. The internet was filled with insults directed at me. Ryan was manipulating public opinion behind the scenes and orchestrating online harassment against me. In my office, my assistant handed me the project files Ryan had rejected. Every document that passed through his hands that morning had been turned down. The business world is like a battlefield, and nothing is more taboo than acting out of emotion and arrogance. He wanted to make me lower my head this way. Dream on. He would pay the greatest price for his arrogance. A month later, Eric's case was finally decided. For embezzling a huge sum of company funds, he was sentenced to 8 years in prison. After repaying the embezzled money, Eric still had to pay me the marital assets he had transferred during the marriage. I went to see him. He looked much more haggard and had grown thinner. He even looked a little like he had back when we first started the company. The moment he saw me, his eyes reddened instantly. "Gloria, I regret it. I shouldn't have treated you that way. You were so good to me. I really regret it. Elena, she aborted the baby. That was exactly what I had expected. The child's father was in prison. It was perfectly normal for her to abort it. The tears of a scumbag were not worth a cent. But right now, I still needed to play along a little. Eric, behave yourself in there and reform properly. I'll help you look after things outside. Ryan has changed. He's suppressing me at the company, buying up scattered shares to weaken my position. You don't want to see the company we built together swallowed up by Ryan either, do you? At first, when I brought up his shares, he resisted. But as time passed, I was the only one who visited him. I brought him food and drinks, showed concern, and asked after him. When a person is in trouble, even a blade of grass can feel like a lifeline. In just 3 months, I had gotten proxy control over his shares. Buying up scattered shares, winning over board members, reconvening the board meeting, electing a chairman. Only then did Ryan realize he had underestimated me. While he was still thinking about how to force me into being with him, I was already setting things in motion to drive him out of the company. Chapter 11. Ryan's influence in the company was simply too great. Even after I became chairwoman and restricted him at every turn, it still took me 2 full years to seize the real power from his hands. In these 2 years, the percentage of shares in my hands had already exceeded 50%. The company had become entirely mine to command. Lucas had already started elementary school. Ever since the day Eric abandoned him for profit, he had never again mentioned his father. I had arranged for Eric's mother to live back in their hometown. Since I was going to act as proxy for Eric's shares, I naturally could not mistreat his mother. As for the shares in Eric's hands, there were still 6 more years to go. By the time he got out, the world would have completely changed. That day, while I was dining out with Lucas, a burst of cursing suddenly rang out. I looked up and saw a familiar face. Elena was grabbing a young girl and shouting things like mistress and slut at her. The man beside them rushed over and slapped Elena. "Shut up and get back home right now." The girl Elena had grabbed was crying pitifully. The one who isn't loved is the real mistress. He and I truly love each other. After saying that, the girl left the restaurant in the man's arms. Only Elena was left standing there alone, covering her face. I withdrew my gaze and took Lucas into the private room. Maybe that was karma.